let's get started. I figure I better come clean on a few things. I'm going to tell you some stories, and you can decide how much of it you want to believe. You can decide how much of it you don't want to believe. Either way, I don't care. This is not about you. It's about me. It's about me getting things off my chest. You're just there to listen. So in 1993, I was sent to, you might call it boot camp, for a number of months in the unlikeliest of all places, Salt Lake City, Utah. They began my training there, and when I say they, I mean the agency, and by the agency, I mean I am not going to tell you which one it is, but they began to teach me. And there were a number of things that they taught me, among which were some languages, Cambodian, Laotian, and of course Thai, a few other dialects there that I would need to know in the region. And the front that was used for this training was actually a Buddhist monastery down near Provo, Utah. I go through this training, and among the things that they talk to me about is how to focus in on the goals that they were giving me. The first person that I would be servicing, a gentleman named Brachuap Chayasan. Mr. Chayasan, he was a prominent businessman. Mr. Chayasan and I eventually met, but not before the agency completed my training there in Utah. And among the things that they did was they had me swear certain oaths. It was probably the most bizarre thing I have ever been through in my life, these oaths. But they were serious, and I certainly was as well. So I go to Thailand. They flew me first to Los Angeles, and there at LAX I mingled with a group of Japanese tourists. At least that's what they were meant to look like. Pretty young, ladies in their 20s, and they directed me to a certain Buddhist monk that was there from Bangkok in his saffron robe. Of course, they do their best to avoid drawing attention to themselves, don't they? But this gentleman gave me an address. He wrote it down on my notepad of where I would meet my, what's the word? I don't want to say handler, but we'll say handler. Once I got to Bangkok, so I flew from LA, got into Tokyo, had a brief stint there. A few of the other fellows from the agency showed me the town. Let me tell you, those folks there know how to party. Flew into Bangkok. My first night in Bangkok, I stayed in a seedy hotel near Soy Cowboy, the red light district. And I woke up my first day in Bangkok. First morning in Bangkok to the smell of the dumpsters outside. They fed me a bowl of rice pudding for breakfast. Rice. I ate a lot of rice in the years that I worked over there. 2 meals a day is what I ate. Rice with every meal. Oh, the stories I can tell you about rice. Long story short, on my first day there, before they send you out into the field for your assignment, they want to, I guess, ensure that you are competent to do the work, to avoid mistakes. They put you through a scavenger hunt your first day, send you out with no one to help you, give you a list of assignments, people you have to meet, places you have to go, have to get there, time limit, use the skills that you have learned at the training center. And so I spent my first day in Bangkok traveling around, stumbling my way through the language, asking for directions, getting, on the local city buses there, and meeting the people that I was supposed to meet, picking up the things I was supposed to pick up to prove that I had met the folks, sent me down to the train station to get certain data off of the screen there, come back and validate that I had done it. Then I get back to the headquarters, and Yeah, they say I'm okay for the field. So that night, I go to a soak. And in a soak, I meet the companion who would be giving me the infield training in my first area, Cleet. I'll just call him Cleet. Cleet, what a guy. So I hop in this little van with Cleet. And in there is another agent. Oh my goodness. This woman, tall, blonde, real blonde, genuine blonde, like silk. Anyway, Cleet sat to my left. I was squashed in the middle. This agent was to my right. I'll just call her Dunn. The drive to my first assignment, my first area, was about a 10-hour drive, but it was throughout the night, no problem. I slept. I actually woke up in the morning and found that I had put my head on Dunn's shoulder, and it actually drooled on her. Thing was, she was awake before me and knew that I had done it and didn't seem to care. Didn't move to wake me up, just let me sleep, I guess, to help me get over the jet lag. The assignments, they're important. You got to get this stuff done. And maybe that's a little clue for you why I call her Dunn. So I get to my location there. And the testing is not over. Cleet and Dunn, they take me into the middle of this town. Oh, and I didn't tell you where I went. Name of the town, the province, was Ubon. Ubon. The whole name is Ubon Ratchathani. It's out in the east, out in the country, on the border of Laos, not too far north of Cambodia. Local people there are called Isan. They're a mix of Thai and Laotian. So it was a good thing that I had been taught both languages enough to get by. For example, in Thai, to say hello, you just say Sawatdee Cup, Penyangai Bang Cup. Not so in Laotian. And so you have a blend of the languages. Isan was a Laotian dialect of Thai. And instead of saying Sawatdee Cup, you would say Udimi Hengbo. Udimi Hengbo. They take me out late at night, this center of town. Give me the address. I'm on foot. They say find the place. By this point, 11 o'clock at night, there's nobody there. Nobody out on the streets. And I had to figure out through this maze of streets, very few of them with actual street signs, and took me about 2 or 3 hours. Funny thing is, they had just dropped me around the corner. I was, not even a tenth of a mile away from the home. But it took me 3 hours to find it because I went the wrong way to start with. But really nice place, let me tell you. Unusual. I got there, and this 2-story, great-looking house. Floors are all made out of marble. The marble was nice, but it was slick, especially after you had bathed. I missed the carpet back in the States, but anyway. Strange thing was, as expensive as the house was, there was no furniture in it. It was Spartan inside. In fact, I didn't even have a bed. I slept on the floor. It was a front. Just needs to look good on the outside. We did have 3 mango trees. And boy, those mangoes were delicious. So that's how I ended up in Ubon, Ratchathani, Thailand. They call it Bratade Thai. Bratade Thai, the city of angels, kind of like LA. This house, we had how would I describe her? A servant, an older lady. We called her Ma, which means mother. But her nickname was Manu, which in English means mother rat. Oh, what a great Great lady she was. Spicy, just like her food. She made us the 2 meals a day that we ate, washed our clothes, pretty much took care of the place because we were really only there at night to sleep. The rest of the time we were out doing what we do. Great lady, but had a drunk of a husband. I remember he hit her one too many times. She showed up with some bruises, and I decided to go pay Father Rat a visit, and I'll just say he never hit her again. We also had this stray dog, pretty much took up residence there at the house, Itan, which, as I understand it from the Laotian, means something to the effect of little prostitute, is what Mother Rat called her. The little prostitute. We didn't let the dog inside. There are no domesticated dogs there. If you got a dog, it's pretty much good for only one thing, and that's eating. I end up completing the business that I'm there for. It goes well. I prove myself. I don't know if you can hear that. If you don't feel like you know what it is, you're not alone. Neither did Mr. Chai-san, but he heard the sound. Cleet is sent out of the country. Dunn is sent out of the country, and I'm there as the head honcho. And I make a number of contacts along the way. Mushroom farmer. There's one gentleman that I spent quite a bit of time with, and I'm not even going to go into details about him. And these were so wild, those stories, I could tell you. The meetups, the symbolism, the signs. It's a totally different way of life over there. So I'm looking for this one guy. P-Lam is his name. You know what they tell me he's going to look like? They say he looks like a Thai. Looks like a Thai man. Like, all right, you gonna give me anything else other than that? I don't know. I'm not gonna walk up to just any Thai man. They say, yeah, well, he's gonna be the Thai man walking around with a 2-liter soda bottle filled with a chicken. And I said, what? And sure enough, when I saw P-Lam, he's walking around with a 2-liter bottle. He's cut off the bottom of it, stuffed a chicken up in it, put the bottom back on, and is carrying it around like it's a baby. Actually, I met him. Met him with Dunn. It was the last time, actually, that I worked with Dunn. I remember one thing that I did not know about Dunn until that operation was that woman loved to eat egg sacs out of pregnant catfish. Oh my gosh, I could not put that stuff in my mouth, but she sure could. Impressive, let me tell you. I also found if you take a cat with no tail and toss it in a catfish pond, they'll nibble at it till it gets out. Yeah, I'm not saying I threw a cat in, but I did witness it. Like I said, Ubon is there on the border of Laos. They got a job for me in Laos. So I gotta get over to Laos. And I figure, shouldn't be too hard. Who cares? This is Laos. It's not like, trying to get into the, White House or something. I go up through, along the Mekong River. Padam was a place I stopped at on the way there. They had a bunch of archaeological, kind of like cave drawings from tens of thousands of years ago. I saw that. That was pretty neat. I was paused there on the way, but I'm supposed to be able to get through at a checkpoint, but I don't make it through. Of all the places, of all the things to not work out, that was just the most ridiculous. Anyway, so it necessitated having to find a different way into Laos instead of going through this checkpoint. So I go back to Ubon. And I make contact with someone who's going to hook me up with another team. This is a very, very short Thai woman, and her name's Nujari. Didn't speak a word of English except for the one phrase that they told me would be kind of like her passphrase, because it's the only thing she could say in English. And sure enough, this dark-skinned Thai woman, unusually dark for a Thai person, comes up to me. She recognizes me, white-skinned guy in Ubon. Not hard to figure it out. And she says to me, give it away, give it away, give it away now. Those are the only words she could speak in English. But they thought it'd be funny to use that as the passphrase. Nuggery hooks me up with a gentleman who has a pickup truck. Takes me down these back roads, red dirt roads there in Ubon. Back out deep in the countryside, up to the river that separates the two countries, and there was an operator there with a little skiff waiting to take me across the river, and that's how I got into Laos and back out of Laos, I might add. I make it back. Job's done in Laos, and let me tell you, the food there is unique. I kid you not. Some of the craziest food I ate, and I thought I had eaten some crazy stuff in Ubon, but Laos, the party that I was staying with overnight, big thunderstorm that night, knocked out the power. Bring out candles, no big deal. Dinner time, and they offer dinner to me, and I can't quite see what's in it. But by this time, I've been there months, probably, I think it was 5 months at this point. I take my bowl and I start to eat. Bitter tasting, very bitter tasting. I hear a lot of slurping going on around me. I realize what it is. It was, broth with the insides of a chicken in it, including congealed blood floating in chunks all throughout this broth. And the slurping sound was them using pig intestines as a straw to slurp up the food through, and then they would eat the intestine afterward. And I ate it too. I ate what I was given. That was definitely weird, but not the worst of what I ate over there. So I get back from Laos, back to Ubon, and as is the agency's practice, I was not to remain there permanently. I was to be rotated out, just like Cleet and Dunn. So I'm going to be sent down to work between Thailand and Cambodia and the province of Surin. Put me on a train, send me first to Sisagate, which is between Ubon and Surin, and hook me up with this guy, Sombat was his name, and he was somebody's brother, the real guy, the one he hooked me up with. After he took me around, he was supposed to take me to the contact, and instead he took me to a zoo. I spent an hour at this zoo walking around thinking this is where we're going to meet the contact, and then I realized this guy just wanted to go to the zoo. So I'm like, Somebot, take, what's the problem? But eventually, he gets me hooked up. The asset that I spend the day working with, this guy was a salesman, let me tell you. All kinds of things get brokered there in Asia. Deals to be made of various sorts. And this guy was smooth. He could sell anything to anyone. I was amazed. And the thing was, he was half Indian, I think. I can't. He was definitely part Indian. Boy, that guy could move product. Let me say it that way. I finish there with the deal in Sisagate, and I go on to Surin. And there's so many things I can tell you. Getting into Surin was a heck of a lot easier than trying to cross into Laos through Vang Tao crossing. I should mention one thing, just so you don't think I'm all business. That's good. Before I left Ubon, we had a little party, and things were pretty wild. Let me tell you, me and a couple of these guys and a couple of women were standing around this house. There's Coke. Things are getting wild. Coca-Cola, of course. Long story short, I end up on the back of a cow, and this thing throws me. I just about bust my coccyx thinking, dang, they're going to send me back to the States if, this thing's broken or something. And, I figured that's about as bad as it's going to get. And then somebody broke out the bottle rockets and started shooting them off at each other, and one hit me and set me on fire.